Hi, folks. You've got three of us here today, three seasoned flower farmers, and we're going to go through in the holiday spirit and share some of our favorite resources. And I hope you can have a little bit of fun with us. This list is going to be posted on the Open Food Network site, and I'll make sure we put the link to that at the bottom once we have it. And really, we're just going to quickly go through and hit some highlights for us. There's no way this is an exhaustive review of resources because that would take a lot more time than what we have. But Santa's and their elves here. Good time to do some shopping for people. If you're for yourself, I just bought myself one for Christmas. But for yourself or for others, it's kind of a nice time to catch up on some new books and a nice time to catch up on YouTube channels and podcasts. So we're going to hopefully give you some suggestions. We're going to go through in a few different categories, and we're going to start with organizations. So who would like to start? I'm going to say Janice, and the reason is I know what organization she's going to say because
I hope she says it.
we should first just quickly introduce ourselves. So Janice, you start by introducing yourself first.
Oh, thanks. Okay. So I'm Janice Harris from Harris Flower Farm in St. Thomas, Ontario. Happy to do this list. And
Jen.
Oh, I just had to say my name.
Sure.
I'm Jen Garretts. I farm in Niagara. It's Wendell Lane Farms.
And I'm Teresa Schoenloss. I farm at Garden Party Flower Farm, which is just outside of Kitchener-Waterloo. And what neither of these other two have told you, Jen has this amazing YouTube channel, first of all, before we even get to YouTube's. So there's one good resource for you right away. I'll tell you why when we get to that section.
Okay.
And the reason I suggested Janice start with organizations is Janice is the new vice president of one.
Yeah.
She's going to name it, so I'm going to leave her do that.
So yes, it's the Association of Specialty Cut Flower Growers. And I was just elected vice president to serve for a 3-year term starting 2025. The association is based in Oberlin, Ohio, but it is a worldwide organization. And I'm really excited as the vice president to now have 2 Canadian representations on the board. We have our Canadian director, which is Sarah from out in Nova Scotia, and me as a vice president. So the ASCFG is an education type organization. It's so amazing, all the resources and all the things that are available. And one of the fun things about why it should be on this list too is years ago, I actually received my first membership as a birthday present. So that is a really great way to get your membership is as a present, so a Christmas present.
Your birthday is on or before the day before?
The 24th, yeah.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Oh,
that's why Christmas, birthday, it's all in one.
Yeah.
Excellent.
You can't wrap them in the same paper. It has to be separate.
Well, and it's really hard. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say no happy birthday, Merry Christmas present.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really hard to think of other organizations that are like there isn't one that is specifically about cut flowers and has quite so many resources and the diversity that ASCFG has.
If I can jump in, because this was in it's not a book, but this is like one of my favorite things that organization spits out. Like, well, there's a couple things, but I'm not so much always a book person, but I love, like, I think the membership is worth just to have this come in your mailbox 4 times a year, right? Yeah. It's quarterly. Hello, I'm a math teacher. Ooh, okay.
And so other benefits of the membership is you are eligible to be part of a members only Facebook group that you can join and ask all kinds of questions. So you're in between questions, and all the members that are on the Facebook group chime in and give lots of answers there. So we really get lots of information that way. I really want the Canadian membership to grow even more because like we're the whole country of Canada. So, I mean, there are a lot of flower farmers that maybe aren't members yet. So it's really important to show our support to the organization and all that it offers us. In there, there are This summer we had farm tours all over. So there was one farm tour in Trenton, Ontario at Dahlia May Flower Farm. So there's regional meetings that you can go to. There's conferences. There's usually a biannual conference that's somewhere. And it's just really great being in a room full of total flower geeks. Like you can stay up until like 2 in the morning talking at the bar about flowers, and all these people do not get tired about talking about flowers with you.
It's pretty unique, absolutely pretty unique. I mean, there are other organizations around farming, et cetera, and you should join those too, because you need to be really well networked. But this is really the one for flower, cut flower specific stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Let's look down our list and talk about books. Jen, do you have a book on your list? You said you're not a book person, but I kind of
don't start with me. I actually went to my bookshelf and I looked for an old book I had, but I still think it's a good book. I don't know. I haven't read. I have actually, and I say I'm not a book person, I have 3 books on my wish list. And now my kid is texting me and my list. So it's, I think the ecological, do you have that one, Teresa? The Ecological Farm? It seems like a Teresa book, but you don't have it?
I don't have a book called The Ecological Farm, but it sounds like I should.
By Helen Atho, I think.
I don't have it.
So I have that one, and then I have The Lean Farm I haven't read. I've heard good things about that.
I haven't read it either, but I hear good things about it. Have you read that one, Janice?
No, I haven't read it either.
He did a talk on the ASCFG. Wasn't that last winter where you could pay to get a special talk?
Oh, is that right?
Anyways, and then I think some of your books just depend on what stage you're in. So I'm into like making all the crazy concoctions. So I want like the Jadam.
Oh yeah,
Organic Farming and the Regenerative Growers Guide by Nigel Palmer.
Yeah.
I've heard great things about that one.
It's interesting. You're right. It depends on your stage, because honestly, when I hear people say Jadam or no-till or regenerative, I just go, because I feel like that was like my 25, 30-year history before I started flower farming. And now I'm in this community where everybody's talking about it like it's new. And it feels to me like, oh, come on, let's move on.
Isn't it the original farming?
Well, I mean, I studied farming with like farmers in China, like the old school. So I don't know, but I think people should have those things for sure. I mean, I think, if there's new thoughts on that, it'd be really good to have it.
So those aren't technically like flower based. So I think it's more like just taking care of your soil, which is what I wish I had paid more attention to 20 years ago. But then I was more, I think if you're a beginner, you're more like specific flower types. But I bet you Janice has a book on that. I just have a sense. Do you have a book on that? Like more flower specific?
The book I was going to show is The Field Guide to Specialty Cut Flowers.
Got it. That's the one I just bought for myself.
So it's by Alan Armitage, which is, he also wrote the Specialty Cut Flowers book. So you have that one too? Yeah. Yeah.
This is a textbook though. Like this is like dense, right? There's barely a picture in this book.
I think
this has been on my bedside table for 12 years.
Well, this one does have pictures.
When I looked through that one the other day, I thought this is so great, because what that book does is it takes this text and condenses it so nicely.
And each flower. So you can go through, and if I want to know, okay, I just opened to Cosmos. So I want to know about Cosmos, and it tells you when to plant it, how long it takes to germinate, spacing, harvesting, all of that kind of stuff. And then it talks about all kinds of information about it, gives you good varieties to do, and the stage of harvest and post-harvest care and all that. So it's a really, I got to have a sneak peek at it, and I did write, what do you call it, like an endorsement or whatever.
Are you printed in the book?
Yeah.
Nice.
I didn't even notice that.
That's so cool.
Look at that.
Whoa.
I was so busy jumping into the pages, I didn't read the prologue.
Right
That's
on the very
awesome.
first page, Teresa.
Yeah, for those of you out there who write books and you put a lot of energy into the stuff at the beginning, most of us don't look.
So what my comment on was that this is like all of the stuff that an experienced grower has in their brain that it's sometimes hard to tease out and tell your team. So this is something that my team
Absolutely.
can look at and go, oh, that's what we need to do for this. Like it's got all that information in it. So that's
And these are things that you don't really keep in your brain. Like every year, when we get to the end of June, I'm going, okay, days to maturity. Which things can I still be planting, right?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
can I still put celosia in? Oh, I don't know. And then I got to hunt and look it up. And it's all right there in that book. So
Okay,
yeah,
you convinced me. I'll get the book.
Okay.
it's a good
I'll
one.
add it to my Christmas list.
And you know what I was so happy to see about it? I mean, if I were starting out or for someone starting out, I'd recommend that book because that takes you right to the flowers. Because it's no matter how much I say to somebody, before you start planting flowers, spend a year in cover crops and thinking about your soil, and they just no, 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 no. So I know they're going to go to the flowers. So this will help you do that. And then your second book that you read at the same time can be about soil building and about the ecological approach and so forth, right?
Yeah.
So that you, because this just gets you started. And I'm so glad to have something that's not like a coffee table book. Like I buy them because I'm sucked into the beautiful cover pictures. And, you know, they really do sit on my coffee table with me probably not opening them till I ultimately sell them on Facebook Marketplace. So, like,
Yeah.
so I'm always hurt a little bit when I see new farmers starting with a picture book. Like, yes,
Yeah.
it's got really nice pictures, but that isn't going to help you out there next August, believe me.
No, that sounds like a great resource, that book.
Yeah.
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 And just before we
So-
leave books,
Yep. I have a wish list book too.
oh, do you? Oh, this isn't wish list. This is one I look to every week. This
Oh,
is
yeah,
one.
that one.
post-harvest handling. And when I saw the new field guide one that we just showed, these two will be in my packing shed. They'll be there and they'll be opened every week. I guarantee it. I still open this thing. If you can't feel it, but it's got like, it's, you know, when a book gets really like thick with layers because stuff's been spilled on it so much. I don't like even picking this book up anymore because it's like weird. But I open it every week, honestly, to look something up.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have the Lenny Larkin's book. That was another one I wasn't sure to get or not.
I did get it. I haven't got through it totally yet. I started into it. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started into it. I got it in like April though, so like I haven't really had a chance to.
I'm gonna read it in January.
I like a lot how Lenny thinks. I don't know her at all. But as I was reading through it, I was going, yeah, I know where you're going with this. I really like how she thinks. And I'm quite a nerd when it comes to numbers and math and business stuff. Like that's kind of what I really like doing. So it was good for me. But I would say if someone is really new and they haven't decided on their scale yet, like they haven't decided that they're doing this as a business, wait. But buy something else first. Come to this when you're ready for it because it throws a lot of numbers at you and a lot of process at you. And if you're not ready for that yet, maybe there's something else that's an easier start or whatever. The other thing I have to say about it is, and not just this, but all the resources, if they're from the US, we have to remember to do the Canadian translation, like not just the dollar translation, but the population translation. So when somebody talks about a flower stand earning, you know, $100,000 a year,
Yeah, I heard her
divide
say
it
those
by
numbers.
10 because that's the population difference between Canada and the US. So there's 10 times as many people, 10 times as many weddings, 10 times as many designers, 10 times as many suppliers, 10 times as many everything. And sometimes I think if we get hitched to those numbers, we just feel like we're failing, right? Because that's not our benchmark. It shouldn't be our benchmark here. So, but yeah, I like Lenny's book a lot too.
Okay.
Others?
Yeah, my wish list one is the new floral standards that's written by the Seattle growers. It's pretty pricey, and they're not shipping it right now because of the postal strike or something. So
Yes.
I'm going to wait on that one, but it's one that I was interested in.
Yeah, I had that one on order too, and I was just a little too late to get it before the postal strike, so mine's hung up as well. It's a great idea for a book, and what you might be interested in is because I also work with Open Food Network, and we now have 7 online wholesale flour hubs in Canada. Um, all of them are trading on Open Food Network, and there's thought of them working together to do some kind of a standards book over next year. Or at least something, some kind of, it won't maybe be a glitzy book, but some kind of a resource that talks about, what is a grade A and what is a grade B and what to think about. Yeah, I think it'd be other books. The other ones I have here are uh, oh, there's specialty like single crop books. Like there's a few Dahlia ones. And I have somewhere here around me the zinnia breeding one, which like it made me want to start breeding zinnias. Like it's a great book. Again, not for beginners, but if you're thinking you're going to really focus on dahlias or you're going to really focus on zinnias and breeding zinnias, really nice resources to have, I'd say. Others? Or let's move on. We got lots to cover.
Nope.
Okay, so those there, guys, you've got books to start with and books to grow into. Podcasts and YouTube sites.
Let Jen talk about that one.
Jen's site. So one of my beefs about YouTube channels is there's a certain tone that people take. I don't even know how to describe it, but you can tell it in the first 5 seconds, and I'm forever like, nope, 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 because there's something about like, hey there, guys, like it's just really obnoxious. But then
talking about what?
No, because then I found Jen's channel. I didn't even know you had a channel, and I'm searching for like Canadian flower farm. Jen has a channel. I'm so glad you started because it's real, right? It's like honest. This is what I'm working on now, and this is what it looks like. Like it's honest.
Yeah, my goal wasn't, it's not like a channel to train flower farmers. That was never my goal. I watch a very popular YouTuber, Bob and I watch, who's just working in the Italian Alps, and it's just him working for 45 minutes. So I don't want to do that long, but I really wanted to just have a slow moving, this is what I do in a week. And even if no one watches it, I have to say I'm the worst at record keeping. I am so excited to go back and make notes now on what I want to do different next year, because it's all there. I'm going to have 52 weeks of a whole year to know what I'm doing. But I love making the videos, so I'm glad you're enjoying them.
Well, I'll tell you what, you inspired me. Like I'm going to start. I'm going to do it. Like starting in January, I'm going to do that same kind of thing because you're right about record keeping. I already use my phone and my pictures like that, right? Just to remember the date it was blooming, etc. And I think there's something about that discipline that's really good. It's just it's a really nice thing.
Well, I think you're similar to me. We've been farming for a long time, and it's I actually just love the challenge of something. I don't want to quit flower farming, but I love learning now how to document it. And and you see things maybe a little bit differently because you're looking at it through a lens, or I don't know. I just feel like what we do is really beautiful, but I don't want to give people the perception that it's not a ton of work. It is a lot of work. So I hope to show that as well. Like we don't just skip with the butterflies up and down the road, scooping up beautiful blooms.
I know.
Anyways, that YouTube channel is an option for all. I've been enjoying it.
This time next year, we could have a review of specifically Canadian. It'd be so nice if more of you out there just started doing it. It'd be great.
Yeah. I also, I don't watch a lot of other flower farmers because I just want to, I'm in my own groove, right? I get, it's the same on Instagram too and Facebook. Janice knows I don't know, maybe I'm different. I'm not sick of flowers, but I'm sick of looking at flower farmers. Does that sound bad? So my Instagram and Facebook is filled up with other things. But if you are looking at YouTube, I have been watching Bear Flower Farm, who, if you're a small beginner grower, I love someone that does a lot of research and really thinking it through. And she's very good at explaining things. So she's a very small, like part-time flower farm, but I just think it's a nice YouTube channel to watch and go back. She does techniques. She does a lot on how to charge. She has little trial sections. I don't know.
Yeah,
I like that YouTube channel, so I'm going to encourage that one.
that's a good
And then
one.
if we're on YouTube, because back to my books, but I don't listen to all of his, but Farmer Jesse from No Till Growers, I will watch depending on his topic. He has again, I think we can learn a lot from vegetable growers on how to grow flowers.
Yes.
Methods. He does hoop houses, cover crops, soil building. Yeah, he just covers a lot of the more no-till, small market garden things.
Yes.
So he has quite a backlog of videos to watch, but he's not flowers. But.
Yeah. On that note, Jean-Marc Fortier, who the Market Garden book you held up before, he also has a podcast YouTube channel called Market Gardener Institute.
I've seen some, yeah.
And same kind of thing. It's not flat, although he did recently have what's her name, Flora Mama on.
Yeah, he's featured a couple of people.
Very nice, nice, great video. And I always find something on that channel, like there's always it's sometimes about equipment, because he's kind of an equipment guy, right? Like he's always trialing different equipment and stuff, it seems to me. But that's useful. Like it's, it can be really helpful. I'm trying to find the right scale of equipment now that I'm scaling back again. So, I'm looking at more of those walk behind kind of things again. So, I like that one. I love Ellen Frost. I only recently found her, and probably I just would have skipped past that even a year ago, because I really was not into even making bunches, let alone like no kind of design thing. Right? But now that I'm kind of edging more to retail, I'm kind of looking for more of those retail kind of idea things. And honestly, hers was the first demo of making the spiral bouquet that I got.
Oh.
I think I can do this now, having tried like 8 times and failing each time. Maybe 9's the charm. But I like what the topics she covers. And it seems to me a little bit like that she's broadening too. It's not only just for designers, like there's some really other interesting things.
Has she visited? I've been on her page very quickly, but I'm not into designing, what you were saying earlier, right? But she does visit farms too, doesn't she? I think a couple times.
I think there are some up there, yeah. And very recently, she does a series with Jenny Love.
Yes, I've seen that.
Jenny Love has this new Floral Guild radio, which is another one to start following, perhaps. Now that winter's coming, I'm always looking for the podcasts in the greenhouse, right? Like that's the only time I ever listen to podcasts. But they have a series on flower math. There's a series of 5 or 6, maybe it is.
5.
Yeah. They're all really good. I watched them all in sequence the other day, which, I never do that much watching. But because with Open Food Network, we're doing some of the larger flower hubs are going to be doing combined kind of videos in March, Zoom meetings that we'll record on this whole thing of selling wholesale, selling to designers, pricing, quality, all those things that they just talked about. So that was why I watched it, and I thought it's a great template to follow in our own Zoom recordings that we do, and have some designers here talk about those things as well.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Do you have any, Janice? Oh, I know another, but go ahead. I just thought of another.
I am a podcast listener, so I do listen to different podcasts, mostly when I'm driving. But I do like the Dirt on Flowers. They are one, I feel like they're pretty real about and talk things through. And they also they say if they've made a mistake and they talk about things that go wrong, which I think is really important. So I do like their podcast.
And I don't know that one, The Dirt on Flowers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's definitely a couple years worth of episodes. I was on one of them this summer sometime. I think it was this summer. Anyways, yeah, The Dirt on Flowers are based in Ohio, and it's two girls. They talk about having a I don't like the term the six-figure or whatever, but having a six-figure farm and all that, and being a profitable six-figure farm. So they're in it for real. So.
Cool. I also like Scott Shepherd, the Flower Podcast. I don't always listen to all of them because sometimes they are very design focused and I have tended to be a little bit but he has some really interesting guests, including again, Janice Harris. She's famous, isn't she?
She is.
She's on all of them. Really, if you're a podcaster out there and you haven't had Janice on as a guest, you're behind. Get with it and invite her because she's the person you want.
She's a pro.
I do wish the Sustainable Flowers podcast was not on a paid, because it's on Patreon or something, so you have to pay for it. Yeah,
I used to always listen to that one too, but and then I feel guilty that I don't pay, but
I know, me too, because it's I should support it because I liked it, but there's so many, what do you subscribe to? There's so many of them.
I know. I think it's if I were a podcaster, which I'm not, I think you really have to weigh how much is out there, right? How little information we pay for, really,
Yeah.
Maybe it's going to be now that I feel guilty. We should move on.
Okay, let's do something else. Talk about something good again.
Put my hat on now that I feel guilty.
If we're on podcasts, the obvious one is the No-Till Flowers with Jenny Love.
Is she still doing no-till, or is it all changed to the Guild now?
No, she's still doing podcasts. I think she does them through the winter. But we skip. Oh, that's not an organization. Where does that fit in? Because I am a member of her Regenerative Farmer. Flower Network
organizations. Yeah.
I love it. But now that kind of ties actually more into the if we're talking about a course, which I'm jumping ahead maybe.
No, go ahead.
So was that 2021? She started with the flower flower farming cohort, regenerative flower farming cohort. And I know she did it, I think still last year. And I don't know if it's happening this January, February again, but it's kind of a course, but it was 6 or 7 or 8 meetings monthly. And there was a group of 20 of us. And then she would talk for an hour and then we would talk kind of together for an hour. And I think she's added on to it. And then it's, I still have access to it within the Regenerative Flower Farmers Network, but the network has, similar to the ASCFG, it's full of flower farmers. And then they also, it's almost an easier way to search topics. So they cover all sorts of topics within there, but I don't even know what it costs yearly because I have just a membership because I took this cohort, but I love the cohort, and I almost wish the ASCFG or some of these other organizations would create cohorts, because that ability to meet with the same group and learn at the same pace and then share your questions and experiences over 6 to a year. We were actually still talking into November. I think we had a final meeting, but it was really neat to bring your problems and listen to people throughout a whole season. So I really liked the cohort. If you ever and if you can't get in a cohort, I highly suggest, this is not a course, but Janice and our friend Heather are just kind of having a couple flower friends to talk to whenever you want. It's a mini cohort that's free. But it's hands down, that's my number one resource. It doesn't fit in a category, but you got to find a couple people. You got to find a couple people. I don't know.
Yeah.
Preferably not people that you're competing against.
Well,
slightly people that you can visit, but they're not in your town.
You need to come to my place. You need to come and visit.
I'm coming. You're the one that's so busy. You're too busy.
Well,
January.
it's true how we can all be pretty close, and yet we never really have time to visit, right? Like
Yeah,
this is probably the only time the three of us have ever really just had FaceTime things
yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
It happens. Before I move us on from some of your favorite podcasts, anything else?
Nope.
Okay. Okay. I'm sure there's lots more. We're just hitting highlights. Like I said here, we're not trying to be comprehensive. So let's talk then about other kinds of things, whether they're courses or other websites or other organizations. So Jen, you mentioned the Regenerative Flower Farming Network. Is that what it's?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. RFN, Ruffin. It's Ruffin for short. That's, I
Yeah.
think, what she calls
Yeah.
it. But it's,
Okay.
I just put down like, I think that book that you guys were talking about probably covers this, but I do like Johnny's Seeds website for like because I'm the worst record keeper and I'm like, shoot, do I need to cover that seed or light or no light? Like, I just go to Johnny's Seeds. Usually they have the answer in there.
And the thing is, I could look those questions up online or whatever, but it's just handy, right? It's just when I was like, so 2 winters ago, really thinking, okay, I really need to change things up a bit now and have things for Mother's Day. And so that means kind of winter growing and doing things in the greenhouse. And that was the first place I went. And, they have amazing trials that they've done for winter growing. And you can figure out, they told me which varieties did better, like everything, really concrete
They
info.
constantly lead new webinars and stuff that sometimes it's on vegetables too, but I think they're constantly researching and then putting
Yeah.
their information for free
Yeah.
on their website.
And, unlike the resources that, might come from California or, Northwest US or whatever, where it's hard to apply to our zone in Southwest Ontario, like they're in Maine. And so it's more applicable for us, I think, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I like them.
And Hillary Alger, who works at Johnny's, is the industry liaison for the ASCFG. So they have a liaison person that's right in there and knows, so we can talk to her and relay information about what flower farmers are finding and what flower farmers are wanting with that industry liaison.
Yeah. You know what? That's something worth mentioning. It's not what we're doing here tonight. It's not reviewing a resource, but it's saying that where do resources come from? Ultimately, the best ones come from needs that we've voiced, right? That we've kind of put forward. And I think that's why that's really important, why they would even have a liaison, is because they know that. They know that they've got to have their fingers out there listening to what those of us out in the field, no pun intended, what we're actually experiencing and what some of our questions are. And you know what? I find the same thing with plugs. Like the brokers I deal with for the plug order, they ask every year, like they always want to know. What were you looking for that you couldn't find? What else? What else? Because they're trying to keep up and up too, right? So yeah, no, it's worth mentioning. Okay, other things. I was going to mention the OMAFRA website, and I know that sounds like really like, but, and if you're in another province, you have a provincial organization too, a website that your government runs, as well as probably a provincial organization. So I'm not trying to be overly Ontario based here, but there's some really good basic resources there, like people wondering about cover crops. What are the cover crops? What are my choices? How would I figure those out? They have selection tools on the OMAFRA website to find the right cover crops, right, for your zone. And so it is that all that stuff we were talking about before that isn't flowers per se, but it's everything you need anyway. Horticulture is horticulture. It's science of horticulture, and it's the same science underpinning flower growing, the very same. So that's one I would mention. It's hard to find your way around it. I would say it's not easy to find things, maybe, but it's a good place to look, as well as Johnny's. Others? We must have some other things. What about courses? Have either of you taken like some full courses that you would recommend? I haven't, so.
I haven't either. You have, Janice, have you?
I took the Jenny Loves the Wedding Process course. It's all events and that kind of stuff too, not just weddings. It's a good one to start out and kind of actually help you realize if you want to do weddings, if you want to go that avenue. It was a good one. Yeah, that one and Stephen Gretel's, these are all courses through the Gardener's Workshop. And Stephen Gretel's greenhouse course was a good one. I went through it, but I can still go back to it and check up on things when I want to learn a certain thing. So yeah, those ones are good ones too.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, Gardener's Workshop is a place to look for courses for sure. There's quite an assortment there, a lot of different things.
They're quite affordable too. Like they're not like thousands of dollars. They're affordable courses.
Yeah, and you know, most of them are the ones we're talking about there. You don't have to go somewhere, like they're ones you do remotely, and then you have access to that information. I know it's hard for people to get away for a course, especially if they have to travel a lot, or you'd be like me with travel phobia, and then you never go anywhere. Do you have travel?
I know.
No, I'm serious. I do. Oh, I have significant travel anxiety. Like when I went to my first and so far only ASCFG, I had to know Janice was going to be there. Like if I didn't know, like someone who I knew would be my buddy in case I freak out and get lost, and I could say, meet me for a beer because I
you, I guess.
Janice is taking me too to two of the ASCFG. I probably wouldn't have went if she didn't go. And she knows I don't like to drive, and I just need someone to go with, a room with. So yay, kudos to Janice for holding our hand.
Did you bring like a crazy cot the one time because we had a whole bunch of people in the room?
Didn't we have 5 people in the room?
Like that,
It was so fun though. That was the first one in Denver we went to, right? Is it Denver?
No, Grand Rapids.
Was that the Grand Rapids? That was the second one we went to.
And where do we?
We went to Philadelphia. Went to Jenny Loves Farm.
Oh yeah,
that was the first one, I think.
Yeah,
with Sass and
Oh my, yes, yeah.
Anyway.
To us in the. I was like 6 months pregnant and 10 hours in a car. That was good.
Oh, now do we know next year's ASCFG?
Haven't heard yet.
Okay,
so.
okay. But before that, in February, you posted on the Facebook page, and just a reminder to people that there's for the first time ever, well, you announced it because you arranged it. So
yes,
that's everything, this woman.
The Ontario Fruit and Vegetable Conference is going to have a flower track, which will be great. There, I will be speaking, Teresa will be speaking, and Dave Dowling will be there speaking. So it's like, I thought very like natural that we have a flower part at the Fruit and Vegetable Conference. There's so many conferences in the state, like the Michigan Small Farm Conference and the Oregon Farming Conference. They all have like a whole flower day. And when you go to those trade shows, so many of those suppliers and those businesses that are there, we already deal with. Like, so
absolutely,
we should definitely be able to go there and meet with them as well and have a flower park. So.
Yeah. And that's, you know, something to say. If you don't want to go to hear Janice and me and Dave, and I don't know why you wouldn't, because like who wouldn't you want? Like really, it's Janice, Teresa, and Dave. But if you didn't want to hear us, like go for the trade show, like because those are your suppliers. You know, people are always asking, where do I get? Who do I contact about? And with frustrations that you can't find something. Well, those are the people you talk to about. That, you know, we can't get this in Canada. What can you do about it? Because they're looking to make business. That's what they do. Yep. So, yeah, for sure. That's how we ended up with the Aru sleeves in Canada, right? Just through a trade show.
Wellington paper, our Wellington produce packagers. Yeah. So, and they're at the show.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We're almost out of our time. So
we didn't even get the tools or anything yet.
Oh, let's go to tools.
Okay.
What do you think? What have you got up your sleeve, Janice? What?
I brought it in. I had to go out to the greenhouse and it's dirty. But from Johnny's, the wire weeder hoe. I got these last year and we love them because the skinny end is
Yeah.
really good to go around in the fabric so you don't have to cut up your hand. And it just gets all those little fine hair weeds, and it works really well. So we like this one.
I don't have that. The one I have is the bigger band. That is a good find. The
It's
little
like,
end, it's the
yeah,
little end that's got
nice
me.
and
Because you're absolutely right. Like going around a little Lysianthus plant in a hole, right? Like, oh.
yeah, works really well. So I've got that one. And then I've got other one. I use in my greenhouses and then also for my cooler and for my garage and everywhere, these temperature and humidity monitors. So this one is a UBBot, it's called.
UB
Yeah, and they hook up to an app on my phone. So I'm going to open it up and I will tell you the temperature of my greenhouse right now. The temperature in the greenhouse is 5.5 degrees. And then I can see that the humidity in my garage, where all of my dahlia tubers are, is 80%, and it's 9 degrees in there. And outside it is minus 2.5. So it all comes up on an app. So
Okay.
each of my sensors does that, and I can also, my cooler
That's
one
cool.
is outside, and then I have a probe that goes into the cooler and then tells me the temperature inside the cooler. And then when I click on it, it will tell me what the temperature, the highest and the lowest, and
Oh,
how
so
it's
it'll tell you
changed
how
over
cold it
time.
got.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Then it will tell me also, it will tell me if I say to tell me if the cooler goes below 4 degrees or below 3 degrees or whatever, it alerts me on my phone and tells me that. So then I know something's wrong. Of course, it happened last year that my greenhouse was negative, like just about zero in the middle of like January. And I was, of course, in Toronto. And it was telling me, and I was like seconds away from driving home, but I watched it and watched it, and then all of a sudden I could see when the furnace kicked in, and I knew that then it was fine. But so I can check it from anywhere. It does have to have Wi-Fi, so we do have Wi-Fi out to the greenhouses, and it then tells me all that information, so I can know what's going on. And it was,
How, I'm curious, because I can't, my Wi-Fi doesn't go down to my greenhouse. It doesn't extend. Is there
so what
like
we
an
did,
extender kind of thing?
you can get extenders. We did put a line in. We buried a wire.
Oh,
And then
okay.
we put a router out at the cooler and in my workshop. So there's a router in my workshop that is connected underground to the house. And then that then goes out to the greenhouse and to the cooler and everywhere
Yeah.
else. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Wi-Fi.
Well, it's interesting because like 10 years ago with my first Wi-Fi, I could go way back to the bush, like almost 2 acres back and get a signal. And now
Yeah.
the newer ones, like I can't, the newer routers. So I keep thinking there must be a router that'll do it. I'm not
Yeah,
that
we did.
far. It's not that far
We
from
might
the
be able
house.
to. We did have to bury it because it is like 200 or 300 feet, I think, from the house to the workshop. So we did bury it under the ground to get us a consistent signal. But yeah, that's a good one. So this is like the easy little kind of one. There is a bigger version of this one that has a screen that I can walk into the greenhouse and see the temperature on the screen in there. It's a bit more expensive. This one I think is about $70 or something like that. And then the one with the screen and everything is about 100 and something. I think maybe 140 or something. But I've had like them for years, like for a really long time. So
Well, it
they
seems like a lot of money until you lose a whole greenhouse full of plants or a whole
exactly,
cooler full of flowers. Then you
exactly.
realize that,
Or dahlia tubers.
yes.
That's what I'm thinking. I should add that to my Christmas list because I just daily check my cooler, but it would be way handier
Yeah.
just to check my phone.
Yeah, just check your phone. And I only until last year kind of monitored the humidity in the garage and the temperature in the garage and realized that luckily our attached garage to the house, even though that means that we have zero space in the garage for the entire winter, it stores dahlias perfectly in there.
Like
So,
the humidity is good in there too, then.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's because the kids bring in so much snow all the time and water and all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, I got a
People,
couple more on here.
oh, good, good.
I don't have the show. I'm good on the tools. And I
Good.
do have to do that some other people sent in for one of my posts that I asked about it. I really like the multi-shelter solution hoops. If you're looking for a Caterpillar tunnel, I can't technically call it their Hanley tunnel because we do a little bit different construction with it. But they are amazing. We now will have 3 of them up by the spring, and they are 17 by 100 feet long. And I'm able to put up and take down a greenhouse, like with me and my crew. I love my dad, but I'm trying to get it so that he doesn't have to take over and do everything all the time. But with these tunnels, we can put them up, and I've figured out now we pound in the rebar with a jackhammer, like a post hole jackhammer thing, which now I can do that because that was the hardest thing before was using a sledgehammer and trying to just pound it in. Now we use that jackhammer and that gets it in. We move them around the farm. So we started last spring with it over top of the tulips. And then we took that down and moved it and put it over top of the planted Lisianthus and put shade cloth over the Lisianthus for the summer to cool them down and shade them a little bit, and also to get that dew to stop being on them first thing in the morning so that they don't damage the petals as much. And we were able to take up and put down those tunnels all over. So the Lisianthus one came off of there, and now we've got plastic on 2 of them with snapdragons, bachelor buttons, nigella, blue chlorum, bells of Ireland all in there now and over the winter. And then the other one, we have the hoops up and ready, and we'll put the plastic over the tulips in February. And there's probably about 18,000 tulips in one of those tunnels. So yeah, they're really awesome.
Now, for people who are listening, these are hoops you walk under, right? This is like a high tunnel. And
yeah, Caterpillar tunnel. Yeah,
yeah.
it's like 7 feet. Like it's just like
right.
I'll hit your head, but
And this jackhammer thing, this sounds like something I need. So is this a motorized tool or battery
yeah,
tool?
it's a plug-in. Yeah, plugged in. We got it. The way I figured it out was I have friends who have a tent rental company, and they came to set up the tent this summer for this big Chamber of Commerce event that we hosted here. And we had a 40 by 80 tent put up. And when they were putting it up to put the leg posts in to hold the tent on, they used this jackhammer thing. And I was like, wait a minute, I could use that to put these tunnels up and put the rebar, because it only has to go 2 or so feet in the ground. But before that, my team and I were doing it, and we'd have like 3 of us bang as many times as we can, and then okay, your turn, bang as many times as you can. And it was just hard. So I was like, there's got to be an easier way to take them out. You just do that trick with a chain, like if you put it on the bucket of the tractor, wrap the chain around the rebar and lift up the bucket, and the thing pulls right out. So it's really great that way. We can use the plastic several years over again. We've used it several times. And we did build, the reason that we don't do it as like one of those ponytail tunnels is because we built ends on it. We have them reinforced, so we haven't had a problem with them falling over or snow load or anything. The people at Multi-Shelter Solution don't endorse the way that we do the ends just because they want it to be a whole across the country, and anybody could do that. And if someone gets more snow than what we probably get here in southwestern Ontario, might not hold up as well. But we've had them up for a couple summers and had no problems with or a couple winters, sorry, and had no problems with them falling over. The kids went out today and brushed off the snow off the top of it.
Yeah, I was going to say, there aren't a lot of places in the country that would get more snow than you.
Yeah, yeah.
I was just in London today, and holy, a lot
We
more.
did get yeah, we did get a lot. Yesterday and the day before, and we've had 2 snow days, so yay.
Every day's a snow day when you're a flower farmer, though. Every day I wake up. What will I do today? I love it.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So,
what's the next tool?
The other one, so along with the big tunnels is the lower Caterpillar tunnel hoops, which my dad does make them and sell a kit, which is great.
I have a
But
kit. I endorse.
yeah.
I have a kit. Yeah.
So I like them. I use them a lot with the Horde Nova netting. So when we planted the Lizzies, once they were up a little bit, we used those hoops and put the netting on them and then held them up that way. So they work really well for holding up the netting for Lizzies, especially. We use it for a lot. And
And
then some other.
did you tell me you put that over, like the first season, I put that hoop over my ranunculus more for the shading
Yes,
netting, because then I had a thing to put the shading netting in. I thought I'd have them up and plant my ranunculus early, but I never really got around to that. So, but they were still there, and so I used them for the shading, and that was good.
Yep. Yep. And I've used it. I did have them stay up over winter last year. Like I put them up and they stayed over the entire winter. We did have to go out and brush them off and that. We didn't get a lot of snow last year. But I was able to overwinter. There was snapdragons in there, dianthus, and like Amazon dianthus and bells of Ireland in
So
there. And they
what is the why does the tall tunnel handle snow better than the low tunnel?
I think maybe the like my tall tunnel.
Yeah.
It's curved, so the snow does go off it a lot easier, whereas the low tunnel does. The ones that Dad makes has the peak, so you do have to brush it off of there. But I know down near Windsor, which is a lot warmer than all of us, but there, I think it's Tina down there does them and has them up all the time, all winter.
Yeah, yeah.
So, hers are curved at the top, not like a roof. So yeah, they're good. So then a couple of people sent in some other things. So I can't personally endorse these, but they definitely did. Was the Hori Hori knife.
Yeah. I have a Hori Hori knife.
Yeah. I think one of the girls on my team did have one because I'm pretty sure she liked using it. And then
it's a great thing for planting in the holes, like even transplanting in tight spaces. It's good.
Yeah, okay. A battery operated seedling mister.
Oh.
Something I think if you press the button, then it just keeps spraying. So instead of having to.
Oh yeah, I can imagine people who start seedlings inside and miss them. This would get to you, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would be hard on your hand, I guess.
I
never missed it. I don't miss.
You don't miss?
No, I don't miss.
No, I don't either. But then I don't start anything inside, so I don't know. I have the like make it or forget it approach.
Yeah, we use a capillary system mat, where it's like felt, and then the water just capillaries up. So that's how we do it. And then another one said is soil blocker, which Jen,
that was me. Yeah.
Yeah, someone else said about the medium soil blocker too. And then you like that tray thing, don't you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So my wish list was last year I finally got the big, but they're expensive. But so it's on I got the 200 cell full Swift blocker soil block maker. Love it. Love it. So I want to get the next size up. I think the 128. But my addiction now, which is a lot cheaper than this, but is the bootstrap. So I already bought my Christmas gift. So last year I got, because I'm into almost everything is on soil blocks. So these are dirty, but I got the bootstrap trays. So this is the mesh kind, because then I can put my soil blocks.
Calling them bootstrap because that's
Bootstrap Farmer.
Oh, so okay.
I ordered from Indoor Farmer is very close to you, Teresa.
Yeah, I know them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just Googling bootstrap trays, and they have them, and that's an awesome website, and they ship once you order $150, I think it's free shipping. So I'm addicted to them. I bought lots of stuff, but I wanted for my mainly my eucalyptus plugs, because these are like bigger, they're longer, deeper cells, and they have like air pruning slits on them here. So I bought. I'm kind of addicted to all different colors. So, anyways, that was my treat this year. But I'm sick of all my black trays and guck. That's just my barn has all sorts of them, and these are built so well. And like, I don't know if you guys do it. I don't have a bottom tray, but I usually have a bottom tray and a top tray. And when I'm busy, I pick it up with one hand when I move it around. And my black trays eventually crack, right? And it's just, and then in my basement, sorry, I did bring I have a solid one in my basement. I'm sick of the black ones getting holes in the corner and then dribbling. But these are built so well. I don't think I'm going to have a problem until I retire, if not ever. So this is my Christmas list, is to get more of this because it brings me great joy. So yeah. And I'm going to put that thermostat thingy on my list because that is what I need. So that's it. I didn't have the weeder that I forgot to grab it, but Jay and Heather from Feeder Flower Farmer showed me that maybe that's what you have. The band. Oh, what's it called? The bandit weeder.
Bandit is like, it's like that same idea, only it's a thicker band of metal.
Yeah, I found that cut my weeds in the field better than anything else I've tried.
Totally it does.
My sister wrecked mine, so I gotta add
and you
another
can
one.
get those like as a hand tool. You can also get them as an attachment to a standing tool.
Yes, but I should get that. Yeah.
Now I don't know. I just find I get
You
a
don't
lot.
like that?
It's my eyes are bad, but I get a lot more control with the hand one if I'm up close, right?
True. I actually am always on my hands and knees, so
Yeah.
maybe I don't know. I like weeding close to the dirt, and it doesn't hurt my back or my knees, so I don't know.
Yeah.
That's one thing on my YouTube channel. People are always like, "You're always on." You're like, well, "How are your knees?" My knees are great.
You don't wear knee pads? Knee pads would be a tool I could have shown.
I have no problem with my knee. If it's really dry, but we haven't had, like last couple of summers, it's been wet. But if it's like, if my clay becomes a rock, yeah, then that can be a little bit painful. But that, I haven't had that. Usually before I weed too, I water really well. So the ground is cushy. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
I don't have any other tools.
No other tools? Any other resources? Last thoughts? Things we forgot. I'm sure we forgot lots of things. And if you're out there and you have a book or a podcast channel and you're watching this and you're like saying, "Oh, they didn't mention me," sorry. We were not cherry picking here. We just took things off the top of our heads, and just wanted to give people a few ideas of resources that they can use. So don't write in if your resource didn't get mentioned. Do not take this personally. I mean, who are we? We're just, why do you care? We're just three flower farmers having a little fun with resources here. That's all.
Yeah.
And I think we can probably say, have a happy holiday to people.
Yeah.
And
cheers.
Cheers. Enjoy some lovely downtime.
It's a wonderful time of the year.
Not very often we get a few weeks of downtime as flower farmers. And I'll tell you, I don't do much in January. I know Janice probably does. And Janice probably has all kinds of things to do yet, like in terms of markets. And
Janice is always busy. I don't know how she does it. She's a crazy.
I don't do as much in January. That's
January is the slowest month. I mean, once February starts, then the ranunculus is there, right? So then I'm into it. But
Janice is going to be preparing for her talk, and you will too. Isn't that the February? You're going to be preparing in January for that.
Yes.
So,
yes, we'll be preparing.
Yeah.
And Jen will be visiting me. So.
What was that?
And Jen will be visiting me.
Yeah, that's on my January calendar. Visit to the Harris Flower Farm.
Okay. Well, thanks people for tuning in. Thanks Janice and Jen for sharing this space with me, and have a happy holiday.
Yeah, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Okay.